Hi, this is Scott Roberts of the Dexter Podcast, and you're listening to the Two Guys Talking Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Green Gab Podcast, a place to gab with people rocking it in green. Green homes, green living, and green companies. Join Marla Esser Cloos, the green home coach and author of Living Green Effortlessly, Simple Choices to a Better Home, and Tony Pratt, the Director of Builder Relations at The Sound Room. Here are your hosts, Marla and Tony.
Welcome to the Green Gab Podcast. We are so excited today. We are doing something completely new and different for us. We are podcasting live. I know that's kind of a strange
It's an oxymoron.
I know, come on. But we're podcasting live at the St. Louis Home and Garden Show. So we are literally sitting on the showroom floor in a booth with a
1974 Beetle.
And it's got a little podcast studio in the front truck. So check out our Facebook page on
Absolutely.
Green Home Coach or the Green Gab to see pictures, because this is really, really fun.
This is probably the most unique setting we will ever record in. You know,
I
mean,
agree.
I don't see us ever doing something like this again. Well, you know, I won't say
if
never.
we do this again.
If it's successful, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just rolling out the VW Bug, having it here on the walkway, microphones coming out of the front hood. Everybody can just stop and say, what's going on over here? And plus, we're in the middle of the Green Building Pavilion
Right.
at the home show. So if we have an empty segment, guess what? We have just a cornucopia of possible guests.
I hope our listeners get a chance to listen to a lot of these, because this is going to be a different flavor than what we've done with a lot of the Green Gab podcast in the studio. But at the same time, it's going to be somewhat similar because we're bringing in some awesome, awesome guests. And I am so excited to have Eric here today. I started to say in the studio, but at the live podcast.
Well, technically, it's a mobile studio.
Yeah, whatever. But Eric, tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself, because you and I have been talking for a few months, and I'm just so excited to finally get you in front of our listeners.
Well, thanks, Marla. Thanks, Tony, for the opportunity to be in front of the Green Bug here, the greenest car at the home show. Check it out at booth 1039.
And no, it was already this color. We didn't have them paint it just for the podcast.
True.
That's true. Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak about the St. Louis Green Business Challenge, which is a partnership of the St. Louis Regional Chamber, where I work, and the Missouri Botanical Gardens. And we're on our 7th year of the Green Business Challenge that helps companies with their sustainable business practices. We help them implement the triple bottom line of economics, social, and environmental practices into their businesses. And it's been a real great program. We've had over 150 companies participate over the 7 years, which represents over 160,000 employees all across the St. Louis metropolitan region.
That's
So
fabulous.
I want to thank you guys
Wow.
for the opportunity to brag a little bit about
Absolutely.
the program, and then hopefully your listeners will get their companies engaged in our Green Business Challenge and a very successful program.
We've got Jean coming on the podcast later in the weekend. So
Jean Ponzi.
with
Sure.
Botanical Garden. So I'm super excited too, because I know she's worked some with you guys at the Business Challenge, and I think everybody in St. Louis knows Green Jean. So
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Jean
she's
is
the
our
pioneer.
resource advisor to the Green Business Challenge. We work closely with her, Glenda Abney, who's the
Yep.
director of the Earthway Center,
Awesome.
Rob Kennedy, who does a lot of our logistics and website for the Green Business Challenge. And we've had a relationship with the garden since the program began
Nice.
in 2010. So we've been really proud to be part of that. And I think it's been a great partnership. We're the only partnership in the United States that is between the Chamber of Commerce and a botanical garden that implements a Green Business Challenge. There's about 40 Green Business Challenges
Wow.
across the country, but we're the only one that has that partnership, which is great because we're there focused on the earth and the plant-based and how we need to take
Yeah.
care of the earth to take care of humans. We're interested in how do we really deliver bottom line savings and how do we grow businesses in St. Louis. So this merger of the green economy growth and kind of environmental growth has really made the challenge special here in St. Louis.
You know, you make a great point, and we've talked about this on many, many podcasts, how St. Louis is like this hidden gem when it comes to sustainability that nobody thinks about. It's like, oh, we're not cutting edge, we're not first of our kind, when reality is we are, and we have all of these great local resources that people don't even realize. And I think you just hit that nail right on the head with what you said.
Yeah, we're really fortunate. I think what also makes St. Louis unique and our St. Louis Green Business Challenge unique is where other parts of the country, especially the East Coast and the West Coast, have public policy drivers that are forcing businesses or even individuals to get greener in terms of regulation. What we're doing here in St. Louis is almost all voluntary.
Right.
There's very
That's
little
amazing.
regulation. When you couple that with the fact that we live in the Midwest where water's abundant,
Right.
energy's abundant, and space is abundant, land is abundant, that
Yes.
driver is eliminated too. So what you're really having, that's what makes the Green Business Challenge so fun, is you have volunteers who are energized kind of by the concept of improving. And that's what makes the companies in the Green Business Challenge specialists. These are the innovators in our region.
Right.
These are the ones who understand the triple bottom line thinking. They understand holistic thinking is important for their business and how thinking going green is also a component of being innovative. And that's why the Chamber got involved in it.
So it sounds to me like it's become contagious in a wonderful way, kind of like a laugh is contagious. What do you attribute that to? How has it grown so much?
What I attribute it mostly to is the competitive instinct of businesses here in St. Louis.
There you go.
I think
yeah.
it's really no different than, again, we're sitting here at the Home Garden Show. You have multiple competitors at multiple booths. They're all spying on each other, trying to figure out the latest projects. And I think that's what's happened. We've had, one financial services company gets involved, and then you see 3 financial services companies get involved. You see one general
Good point.
contractor company get involved, then 2 or 3 general contracting companies get involved. That's one factor. I think the other factor, Tony, I think you also hit it in terms of St. Louis being a hidden gem. The other nickname of St. Louis is the largest small town in America.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I
Yep.
think that's kind of what happened. I mean, we all make fun of where you went to high school, but that for a Chamber of Commerce, that helps.
Right.
Because the person
Yeah.
who you went to high school with is going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting. They're talking to their alumnus and saying, hey, this is pretty cool. This is a really great program. If someone comes into your company, works with your green team and helps implement strategies. So they talk to their friend, who talks to their friend, who talks to their friend. And that closed circle where sometimes that's a negative, but in this case, it's been a positive.
Well, since you brought it up, I went to CBC. Thank you.
Well, good for you.
And I didn't go to high school here, but I did go to Washington University
There
for
you
college.
go.
So
Well, I guess I'm the outs a little bit on both ends here. I didn't go to high school here. I didn't go to college here. But my kids go to Clayton High School, so I'll put
There
a
you
plug
go.
in.
I
you
did
go.
both.
Clayton High School.
CBC for high school and St. Louis U for
I
undergrad.
know.
Oh, you're a true blue.
Isn't he?
I am bred to do nothing but live here. This is why I have not left.
You got Budweiser in your vein, Tony.
I
Pretty
think
much.
He does.
Pretty much.
I think he does. I would agree with that. As you know, so fascinated with this program, and there's a couple of things that I want to hit on. And I want to come back to talking about how the program works in our second segment. So I'm going to kind of tee it up here so people will come back. But I want to talk about how the program works, how you get people going, and what it kind of looks like going through the program. But before we do that, I want to hear a little bit more about how you got involved with this and what your background is.
Oh, sure. Well, I got involved. I've been at the St. Louis Regional Chamber for 16 years. This initiative started from our past CEO, Dick Fleming, who was the president and CEO. He went to a conference in 2008 with the linkage between the green economy and overall economic growth for the St. Louis region. And really got inspired by the fact that for metropolitan regions to grow, they need to grow their green economy. And they need to grow their green economy in 3 areas: green entrepreneurship, green workforce, and green innovation. And I was working in the public policy department at the time at the chamber, and we latched onto this idea in terms of myself personally. Always was interested in the interaction between the business and the environment, and definitely being in public policy, the interaction between public policy
Yeah.
and business, and these concepts of kind of energy policy, energy savings, I was always personally interested in, and it kind of tied pretty well with what Dick wanted to do in terms of economic development. So myself and the senior vice president at the time, Chip Castile, we really kind of latched onto this as a new opportunity for the chamber to grow, a new opportunity to get members engaged, and that's what we kind of launched the Green Challenge. It was basically, again, an economic development initiative that we felt, again, St. Louis is, again, a Midwestern city, kind of a flat growth city. What's the next wave that we could capture on? And we thought the green economy was one of those waves.
Wow.
Very interesting.
So even though you're not a native St. Louis and you've been here long enough that you've got us in your veins now.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll never be a native, but you'll be that next tier down.
Yeah, is that a caste system, Tony? It's so we have the Brahmins,
Kinda.
you're a Brahmin, and then there's, I don't know what the next level is,
You know
and then
what?
there's the untouchable. So I'm glad
It
you've
is-
elevated me above untouchables.
It is very
Whatever
close.
those-
It is very close. You know,
That's an honor from someone from CBC
There
you
and
go.
from SLU to allow me to be above untouchable. Thank you very much,
I
Tony.
joke all the time. You know, people come in, national companies come in, especially in the construction world, and they just don't seem to understand how to navigate it. And I tell them all the time, I go, look, this is just the most unique city you're ever going to work
Yeah.
in. You are either from here or you're not from here. And those are the only two choices.
I was kind of considered from here because I've spent all my adult life here.
Right. But you also went to college here. That helps.
And that helps a lot.
That definitely helps. There's a lot of people, they come to college in St. Louis, whether it's SLU, WashU, Webster, Lindenwood, I can go on and on. And they stay.
Yeah, a lot of people stay.
Because they fall in love with the city, the community. I mean, we have that even with the sports teams. Look at all the Blues, especially the hockey players. Oh, my gosh. And I only bring it up because CBC won the state championship in hockey last night.
He's bragging.
Again, of course. But look at all the hockey players that come in from Canada and all that. They play here even a couple years and they stay. I mean, St. Louis has that magnetism to it, but unless you're from here, you're not going to get it. I'll stop now, but I could go on and on and on. I love St. Louis.
Congratulations on CBC winning the hockey tournament.
Very exciting.
My son was on, I have to brag too then, I guess. My son was on the state champion Quiz Bowl team 2 years ago for Clayton High School, and that was a big thrill to see him come home with the trophy and the medal.
Hey, nothing wrong with winning a state championship. You should never have to apologize for it.
Okay, so do I have to get my 2 cents worth in and say that my daughter went to St. Joe's?
Sure, absolutely.
But she didn't stay in town for college. So.
That's okay. She went
to the other French city in the United States.
She is part of the private school network. So she will always be able to.
There you go.
Yep, and our current intern from St. Louis University is a St. Joe's grad. So how about that?
There you go. I know. See, this happens all the time in St. Louis. And what's been really interesting is I just moved to Oklahoma City a few months ago. And I grew up there. That was where I went to high school, and my parents are still there. So I've been going back, multiple times a year forever. But it's really different to adapt to the new culture there. So I'm really having to kind of figure things out. And a lot of the programs that I know about in St. Louis, there's nothing like that in Oklahoma City. And I keep looking at things going, wonder if I could meet somebody over there and introduce them to this concept. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe there's opportunity to seed it a little bit, seed some of these ideas out there a little bit more. But I think we're at a great spot. Let's take a quick break. And then when we come back, Eric, I really want to get in a little bit more about what the St. Louis Green Business Challenge is all about, what folks go through with it, and we'll take it from there. Be right back, folks.
In her book, Living Green Effortlessly, Simple Choices for a Better Home, author Marla Esser Cloos shares her expertise and empowers readers to make simple changes to their buying habits that affect a home both inside and out. Whether living in a small apartment in the city or in a single-family home in the suburbs, Marla shows consumers how to make any home a green home. Get the book now at livinggreenbook.com. That's livinggreenbook.com.
Wouldn't it be cool if your advertising could last forever? It can with perpetual advertising. Here's how it works. Magazine, radio, and television ads are efforts that people might see or hear once, and then they're lost forever. Perpetual advertising provides you with the chance for repeat exposure and replayability weeks, months, even years after it's originally inserted inside a podcast. So even after your advertising is included in a podcast years ago, those efforts are still impactful, providing you with true return on investment. Real impact, thanks to perpetual advertising. Are you ready to change the way you and your company or organization advertises? Find out more and launch a unique perpetual advertising effort right now by visiting twoguystalking.com/sponsors.
Hold message for your organization or business? Don't know where to start? Check out The Voice Farm, your one-stop shop for voiceover needs. Check it out now by accessing The Voice Farm at voicefarmers.com and see what difference can be made with a company that is truly outside the box. From the Voice Box, voicefarmers.com. That's voicefarmers.com.
Back gabbing on the Green Gab with Eric of the St. Louis Green Business Challenge. I really almost stumbled over that. I apologize.
It is a mouthful.
Kind of a tongue twister.
I need this cleaner for my...
Oh, no, this is part of the
I'm
live
on company time, so I got to make sure we get all the advertisements. That's the St. Louis Green Business Challenge, a partnership of the St. Louis Regional Chamber and the Missouri Botanical Garden.
Okay, I'm not going to complain about a mouthful because that was really a mouthful.
Yeah. I think you're doing the intro for the show. I'm not going to remember that.
Too funny. Well, now that you've got all of that out, I love the fact that it's a partnership. I work on some things that are like private-public partnerships, and I love to see how they work. So not quite exactly the same thing, but at least in the same genre a little bit.
But, I didn't even realize they were tied to a Missouri Botanical Garden.
You didn't?
I did not know that.
How could you not know that?
Because I haven't done a lot of studying on the Green Business Challenge.
No, that's because
I don't have
you're
the time
too busy
to do it.
going to school. I just
Yes.
read about all this stuff and
Yes.
bring it out. So there. That's why we make a good team.
Some people think that.
Eric,
Unlike her younger brother.
we want to hear more about what the challenge entails, what it looks like when a company gets involved. I know there's different levels of involvement, but tell us a little bit more about how that all works.
So again, the Green Business Challenge is about helping companies adopt sustainable business practices in their daily operations. So we have a variety of levels that companies can get in at the challenge, but basically it's working through either a scorecard of options or a menu of options around 6 categories. One is engaging your green team, which is basically engaging your green team in adopting corporate policies around sustainability, green purchasing policy. That's number 1. Number 2 is improving energy efficiency. We're looking at the lighting, the heating, the air conditioning at the office. Number 3 is water conservation. How's your company doing in terms of conserving water? Number 4 is transportation. Are you providing clean transportation options in terms of transit, bike usage, carpooling? Number 5 is indoor environmental air quality, which is basically the health of the building, essentially, making sure your employees
Sick building syndrome.
are healthy. And the most important one is waste and recycling. This is actually where we're seeing the most interest and the most entry points, I would say, for companies to get involved in. Where do I go to recycle? I'm having a lot of waste in the office. How do I move to a paperless environment? What do I do about composting? That's been kind of the first step for companies. So we have 3 levels. The first level is called our Green Apprentice program. That is designed for smaller businesses where they basically have a menu of options around those 6 categories. You do kind of 5 policies, you do 5 procedures, and then we give you an award at the end of the year.
So when companies come into the challenge, they work in all 6 categories.
Mm-hmm.
So similar to a green home certification, you kind of get the holistic approach.
Exactly. And then
Okay, cool.
larger companies have a comprehensive scorecard around those 6 categories, and they're points. For each action that you do, you get a point. And so the challenge works. We're always encouraging progress, so we have the companies submit a baseline scorecard at the beginning in April. Then they turn in a final scorecard at the end of October. We take the difference between the baseline and the final scorecard, and based on that difference, we give you an award. And we have different award levels based on the points. So as long as you get more than 5 points on your scorecard, you'll get an award. So there's a teeny bit of Little League involved in that. Everybody gets an award at the end of the year.
I gotcha.
But we want to keep encouraging people. We want to keep the momentum going. We hate to say someone is, not doing a great job. We want to keep them moving along. And that's what the encouragement about. We have monthly meetings that go over topics around those 6 areas so companies can get reinforcement, sharing best practices from one company to another. We also provide, through the Missouri Botanical Garden, a site visit to the green team. So Jean Ponzi, again, who's our resource advisor, will go out and meet with the green team, kind of do a sustainability one-on-one talk, and then she'll actually tour the building and kind of say, here's some tips of what you could do for recycling. Here's what you could do with green cleaning supplies. Here's what you could do to increase daylighting. So it's a combination of on-hand support, networking, best practice sharing. We also have a website, stlouisgreenchallenge.com, where we upload all our presentations, and we have website resources that companies who can't make the meetings can kind of get that information.
And we'll be sure to put that link and any other links that we talk about or you want to add onto our podcast notes so our listeners can find them. I want to circle back to something you said a little bit ago. You were talking about green teams. And a lot of our listeners may not be familiar with that concept. So can you share a little bit more about what a green team is for y'all?
Well, basically, a green team is people who are interested in improving their company.
But they're at the company.
They're at the company.
So it's a company-sponsored deal.
Typically, the green team is led typically by someone in the facilities department, an office manager, or someone in marketing. Those tend to be the people who are most engaged with the Green Business Challenge. Obviously, office managers trying to figure out the office manager, facilities manager, efficiency gain, how do I save money? The marketing person is more, how do I better communicate to our customers? Where is green as a marketing advantage?
How do I set myself apart?
Exactly. So those are the 3 areas. But we found the most successful green teams tend to go across departments because, especially with the large companies, you need to have somebody in the IT department. Think about how much energy an IT server uses or a web server uses. How much, obviously, we talked about marketing, the competitive advantage side of it, facilities. And then also we usually have somebody in the C-suite. How do I kind of connect up with the upper level management so they're kind of seeing the value, the holistic value, whether it's financial, social, or environmental. And the third thing I wanted to mention in the green team was HR is a key part. And what we are seeing, that's probably the biggest learning I've gotten from the Green Business Challenge, is that we talked about millennials. The new employees are now expecting their company to do something in the community, to do something good, and have more of a public purpose in addition to making money. And so they're asking that from their company. So we're seeing a lot of the green team are being led by their new employees. And the upper level people are saying, this is a great way to get my younger people engaged, to kind of say, here's a productive way to engage volunteers in terms of like doing Operation Clean Stream, doing something with St. Louis Earth Day, doing something with Wild Bird Sanctuary, doing something with biodiversity, and they're getting their younger people involved, and that's spreading throughout the company.
Yeah, because they want to see that social give back by the customers.
Oh, it's huge.
By the
I
companies.
mean, and it's what I love about it, and this is true with almost any trend that starts in our business world. It starts with the young people as they're coming out of college and into the workforce, and it works its way up into the older demographics. And I remember back, in the 80s, going to a presentation that a gentleman gave. He'd written a book about Gen X. So, I mean, this was a long time ago, but he was talking about how Gen X was changing trends in the business world.
Right.
And so we keep doing that. It's just different trends. We can thank somebody back there for business casual, I understand. So.
Yeah.
And now we'll thank them for green and sustainability.
There we go.
Yay.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I also want to mention in terms of the youth, I mean, I'm sure CBC High School has probably something around environmental education now they probably didn't have when you were going to school.
Absolutely.
Tony?
Well, I will say this. They were very good at one thing. Now, I graduated in 88. I don't care if people know how old I am. But
okay, I'm still older.
because of the Catholic part of it, we took a class when we were seniors called social justice. It was a religion class, but it was about that.
Yeah.
And it was the very start of what you're seeing now. And, you know, granted, when I went to St. Louis U right after, best 8th century education money could buy at the time, I laughed because what I was going to school for, what I do now, did not exist in the curriculum. It did not.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing colleges embrace a lot of it. And while when I was there, it seemed like they were preparing us for a job based on the 20th century economy, at least now we're looking forward education-wise to the 21st century and the 22nd century economy.
Aren't you glad things change?
Well, that's the way it always does.
It is.
It works. It works.
Exactly. And then your alma mater, St. Louis University, has a master's degree in sustainability.
Yes.
That's kind of relatively brand new within the last decade.
Well,
Washington University is a very strong sustainability coordinator, sustainability area. They've actually done a green office challenge within the departments at Washington University to kind of get their own departments greener. And then Webster University has a very strong sustainability thing. So just here in St. Louis, we have within the last decade, 3 universities that are leading the way on sustainability.
And it's all just kind of sprung out of, they saw the demand, this is the way things are going, so you might as well be on the forefront of education.
The students are demanding it.
Yep.
And I was yesterday doing some research on some of the Oklahoma universities around me and Oklahoma City now. Since I have 2 homes, I figured I better learn the new one too, right? But every single one of them has at least a green or sustainability internal challenge of some sort, a team, a group. So, I mean, it's something that I think probably almost all colleges and universities have gotten their arms around in some way, shape, or form. But I also wanted to ask you, Eric, do universities and colleges participate in the Green Business Challenge?
Yeah, and actually I wanted to double back a little bit. A great example is Southwestern Illinois College. It was the founder of the Illinois Green Economy Network, a network of community colleges that are involved in greening their campuses and educating their community college students about the value of the green economy. If you go up to the Granite City campus, they have a wind turbine.
Oh, nice.
They're doing a lot with advanced manufacturing, which is all about being efficient and not reducing waste. So
Right.
it goes from all levels, from high school where they're doing rain gardens and the Green Schools program with the USGBC here locally,
Involved in that.
all the way up to, like I said, Washington University. So elementary school, high school, community college, we got it all here. So schools involved, yes, Webster University has participated in the Green Business Challenge. Southwestern Illinois Community College. St. Louis Community College is one of the first community colleges
I
participated
remember
in
that.
the challenge.
Right.
And St. Louis University has been a long time participant in our challenge.
That
So
is
we've
so
had great
awesome.
participants from there. We've also had great participation from the municipalities. We have a new Green Cities program that Creve Coeur, University City, Maplewood, Granite City, Alton has gone through. Again, a menu of strategies that can kind of adapt the government side of it to getting greener, which is pretty similar to business, but they have to be accountable to their taxpayers as opposed to the customers. But sure, they have to look at waste and efficiency. So we've had universities, we've had cities, we've had nonprofit organizations, and then Fortune 500s to small companies. So it's been a really diverse group of companies involved in our
Basically,
town.
you can slide any entity into a program.
Exactly.
There you go.
That's very nice.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back.
Looking for a straightforward user interface and a cost-effective, feature-filled multi-track recording software? Call off the search. Mixcraft from Acoustica has exactly what you're looking for. It's time to include reliable audio creation and editing software with real punch into your projects. Check out Mixcraft now over at acoustica.com/Mixcraft and start a new generation of audio creation and editing today.
Everyone knows what identity theft is, right? Well, maybe not. Learn more by listening at scammercast.com.
Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Megatron, Starscream. The Autobots and Decepticons have been at each other's mechanical throats now for over 30 years. That ongoing battle has been brought to the silver screen a number of times and received accolades, but mostly pointing laughs and head shakes. Whether you love the original animated series, the new animated series, or any one of the feature films, it's time to check out the perspective reviews of the Transformers feature film series. They, like the Transformers themselves, are more than meets the eye. PerspectiveReviews.com. That's PerspectiveReviews.com.
Hey, we're still gabbing with Eric at the St. Louis Home and Garden Show. If you guys have not planned to come down, make plans right now. There is so much cool stuff down here. I mean, well, we're the really cool thing here, right?
We are the coolest thing down here. Come on.
Eric's the coolest thing down here.
Okay, we're the second coolest.
Don't you love it?
The guest is always the best.
Absolutely.
You can't get any cooler than talking into a microphone in front of a green VW from 1974.
I know. And we laugh because just sitting in a room with microphones in your face sounds kind of silly, but it is strangely magical. And it's kind of like sitting here. It's like, oh my gosh, we're doing something.
Right, and I have to compliment you, Marla and Tony, because, the green team, green economy gets a bad rap for being hippies and granola, but here we're sitting out in front of modern technology,
exactly,
talking about modern issues and talking about innovation. So I want to thank you guys for changing the whole axis of green in St. Louis.
No, actually, I disagree, because when you think green technology and green economy nowadays, it is modern technology. I mean, our company, we have always been known as cutting edge technology, but at our heart, we're an electronics retailer. You go up on our roof, you go to Google Earth, type in our address, you see and I can call it a solar farm, 132 panels up there,
wow,
powering everything. Yeah. So, granted, it came with the building when we bought it, but it was a bonus for us.
You're walking your talk.
Absolutely.
What we love is that green, and I used to run a campaign called Green is Not a Four-Letter Word. Like, it's not a cuss word.
She used to have buttons and everything.
I do. I still have some, actually. But that was kind of the way people thought a few years ago is, oh my gosh, if it's green, it's a bad word, blah, blah, blah. And what I really wanted people to say is, and think of is that green offers a lot of great things, and it's really about just being sensible, using common sense, not wasting. Use what you need and leave something for the next person. But what we've also really discovered, and the more people we've interviewed on the Green Gab, the more we've seen this, it's truly an intersection between thinking a little bit, doing some things with purpose, great technology to allow us to make up for where we maybe don't act as well as we should, and also thinking about how that integrates with things that are more natural or available to us from the Earth's resources that maybe we kind of forgot about. And there's all different ways to marry those things together. And that's what I love about what you guys are doing, is that you're teaching people, you're helping them to gain that knowledge, you're helping them to connect the dots, that you have all these things available, and what's right for you, Company A, is going to be different than what's right for you, company B or university or municipality, but they all work.
Yeah.
And they're all moving us forward. The other thing I love about what you guys are doing that we get so excited about is that you guys are helping people to take action. Because we can all talk about this all we want. Yeah. And if we're not inspiring people to move and do something, it's all for naught.
Not only that, what it also is doing is putting the thought in people's heads of, think of all the technology we use on a daily basis that's 19th century technology.
Like a light bulb?
Light bulb.
Incandescent light bulb.
Car. Basic electrical transmissions.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the challenge has to be, what is the technology of the 21st and 22nd century? Not why am I continuing using the 19th and 20th century technology.
And I also want to add, Tony, is that it's not only just the technology, but it's also how do we get 21st century thinking, 21st century behavior, 22nd thinking behavior. Because I think you're seeing a lot of buildings that are putting energy efficiency savings or putting sensors on it, but then a human being will override it because I'm kind of hot.
Right.
Or that's like my plumber.
I'm still going to throw away the plastic cup in the recycling bin. So it's this education level. And that's why I think the challenge has been successful with the partnership with the Botanical Gardens, is how do you kind of educate to change behavior? Because it's not going to work. We're all not... You can install the robots, but the humans have to oversee the robots, at least for the time being.
Right.
I understand that future is coming where the robots will take over the world. But
that ties into what we were talking off air about the difference between control and automation. Whereas control, you still have the human interaction taking care of everything, yet automation helps replace all of those behaviors and automates them so you don't even think about them.
Exactly. One of the tours we went on, we went to waste management with the landfill site in Milam. But they're now taking methane and they're capturing the methane and selling that now onto the marketplace.
Oh,
so
cool.
Kind of that new technology that you talk about. This is actually a good example. Their landfill is actually on an Indian burial ground. So you talk about old and new.
Wow.
So you pass the Indian burial ground. Think about how could date back to the Cahokia Mounds time frame.
Sure.
So we're talking possibly 900 years of burials next to the landfill, which is our most recent time period. And then they're actually turning that into methane that's being used to power machines in southwestern Illinois. So that's a pretty good use of old and new technology right here in our backyard.
It's like, I love the book Cradle to Cradle because, and Biomimicry is another one I love by Janine Banyan. But talking about how in nature there's no waste.
There's not.
Every output is an input for something else. And that's a lot of the thinking that a lot of companies are realizing they can make more money. If they actually think differently about how they view their manufacturing process and all of their processes instead of linear. The circular economy, that's the other word you're hearing.
That's the new term.
Yeah.
Circular economy.
It makes so much sense.
Circular economy is sustainable economy.
Yeah. When you and I were talking a few months ago, I asked you what the most surprising thing was that you had learned and experienced with working in the St. Louis Green Business Challenge. And you mentioned that it was the networking that happened. And I loved that. Will you elaborate on that a little bit more? Because that was just such an amazing story.
Well, I think what's most fascinating about the Green Business Challenge is that we've done it for 7 years, but 44% of our companies have been in the challenge for 3 years or more. So that's creating this core group of people who are sharing best practices and kind of learning from each other. And I think that's something that we didn't anticipate at the beginning. We thought people would just do the scorecard and move on. But they've kind of challenged us as staff people at the Chamber and at the Garden to add more things to the scorecard. They keep wanting to go deeper. We've actually added a champions level now to it. We've added biodiversity aspects in terms of improving your corporate campus landscaping to incorporate native plants, to reduce irrigation. We've added now a Strive for 75 program. How do you kind of how can you recycle 75% of your waste here? So that's been the most fun thing to kind of see this group grow from sort of like what is green to now I want to do more and more and what's the next level, and then bringing in concepts of the circular economy, bringing in concepts of the global reporting initiative, bringing in concepts of how do I do a greenhouse gas reporting. Those are all been new wrinkles in the challenge, things we probably didn't anticipate. So that's really been fun to do.
So
excellent.
Have you guys talked about like a mentorship program so other cities and other places could come in and learn how to start their own program?
Well, actually, last October, the Missouri Botanical Garden hosted the Green Business Engagement Network of 40 Green Business Challenges came to St. Louis to kind of share these best practices of kind of what we learned from the challenge, what they've learned from their challenges. Chicago had a downtown green office challenge. Westchester County has got a green office challenge. There's many that are public-private partnerships that are involved in the challenge. So we have done kind of that mentoring, but we've also tried to establish mentorship between companies. So you mentioned solar, Tony. We've had a lot of solar companies involved. How do we kind of mentor a company that's kind of getting new with new energy efficiency or new energy solutions, partnering up that way, partnering up companies that are forming a green team, what it's like to form a green team, how to report that out to our community, what is a sustainable purchasing policy. So we share all those resources on our website, but also at our meeting, and that's been really a fun to, again, get this core group of people who can kind of grow together.
I may be back as I get more involved in Oklahoma City.
But once again, St. Louis ends up being this hub for education that nobody realizes because everybody thinks, oh, it's St. Louis, you guys are set in your ways. All the cool stuff happens out on the coast, and that's just not true. Exactly. It's just not true.
So how do companies get involved if they want to do this?
Well, sure. They can get involved. Keep up to date at our website, www.stlouisgreenchallenge.com. It's open to anybody. You don't have to be a chamber member. You don't have to be a member of the Missouri Botanical Garden. It's open to any company. We'll launch our kickoff event. Will be April 12th.
Okay.
Just stay on our website and keep up to date. And if you're just interested in joining and just seeing what it is, you're more than welcome to come to a monthly meeting to kind of see what's going on. But our scorecards are currently out there right now. So if you want to download a scorecard and kind of see the strategies, see where your company is at, again, go on the website and check it out.
Cool.
Because I know I get the newsletter, and that keeps me up to date on some of the meetings and things that are happening and stuff. So they can get that on the website as well, I'm assuming.
Yes, they can.
Great. So what parting thought would you have for our listeners about what you've experienced being a part of the St. Louis Green Business Challenge?
My parting thought, Marla and Tony, would be that St. Louis is a growing region, and the green economy is one way path forward for us to grow. And the St. Louis Green Business Challenge has been a great program to help companies kind of attach to that green economy, whether it's training their workforce, finding new innovations and new technologies, or even improving their own operations. I think we have it all in St. Louis. We have great St. Louis companies who are doing this type of work, and I've been real excited to partner with the Garden and the Chamber to do this work, and I think we can do much more in the future.
I love it.
I think that says it all.
Well, I guess that's a wrap for today. Eric, thank you so much for
thanks for coming on the show,
Green
Eric.
Gab.
Yeah, it's been a real thrill, great opportunity, great to be part of the Facebook Live Nation, and wish you guys luck here at the home show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Green Gab Podcast and for joining us on our own personal Green Odyssey as we change the world one Green Gab podcast at a time. What did you learn about during this episode? Tell us now by visiting our website at greengabpodcast.com. And remember to connect with us via iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter. The links to do all of this are at our website, greengabpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, but more importantly, thanks for rocking it in green.